I'm feeling this time of year. I'm feeling this kind of transition quite large. I'm wrapped up in I'm back in this kind of thing again. Yourself real comfortable in sitting. It's like I said, it's still in that equinoctial phase, that transition, and really beginning to feel it. And we've just come into the new moon yesterday, in fact. So we're going to open to the new today as well, open to what's possible, and play with beginnings a little bit. Given everything is as it is. I was recording a little note. I went for a walk in the park earlier on. I was recording a little note about us being like holograms. Because every single relationship we have with everybody brings out a different part of us, where there's a reflection between us that occurs. It's not just that other people reflect us, that's way too narcissistic. It's that we reflect each other. And there's something that comes up in that dynamic, which is unique in that moment. And yet it has a capacity of being this interplay that doesn't occur anywhere else, ever. And then we move into another relationship with another person. There's another dance that happens. And then another one. So in that way, we're like holograms. And we're also not things. We're verbs. We're process, right from the point of conception. In fact, I'll go deeper than that in a moment. Right from the point of conception. The combination of genetic material, 23 chromosomes from mother and 23 chromosomes from father. And that point of that genetic combination of which we're completely unique, and there'll be never anything like it again. That lifetime of neurology which is created from there with this individuated experience, apart being incredibly unlikely. Each one of us is such an incredibly unlikely being and therefore utterly unique. And if we trace back this DNA, back through time, before mother and father, and before their mother and father, and before their mother and father, and before their mother and father, and we go back about 200,000 years and we're getting into early hominids. And we go further back than that, 6 million years, 8 million years, and we get into the last common ancestor with other primates. And 28 million years, and 30 million years, and so on. And we can track this genetic material all the way back to the dawn of time, literally. All the way back through to the initiation of this planet with asteroids coming in, bringing in protein material, amino acids from here and amino acids from there, and stuff bubbling in hot lava seas. We've all come from there. So in terms of DNA and protein mixes, we're kind of infinite. All this goes back as far as we can track it through as the beginning of the universe, and who knows what was before that. So we find these places in us that are not just sort of holograms, but kind of infinite holograms, infinite plays of life. And then we're also holotropic. There's a part of us, and Buddhists recognize this, yoga practitioners recognize this. There's part of us that wants to know. This kind of soul-searching part that wants to know why, how, who. These kind of questions: why, how, who, what, and what if. This deep drive, which Buddhists and Vedic practitioners call dharma. This soul searching in us to know the truth. In which people like Maslow and his hierarchy of needs called self-actualization. There's again this desire to know who, what, why, what if, these kind of deep questions. And when we can let ourselves relax into this kind of holotropic, hologramic process, this verb, and let our minds relax from being a thing to being this infinite play of consciousness and space. We can let ourselves relax into space-time, forwards and backwards, side to side, up and down. And just feel those vectors around you, side to side, forwards and backwards, up and down. Up and down are just arbitrary labels. It depends on where's up on our planet. We kind of feel down because it's down into the center of the planet, but if we keep going down, we go up. We're suddenly up in Australia in the Antipodes when we were down here. But relaxing into these vectors. Relaxing into the curves of space-time, where gravity bends time. And if we can fully and completely allow ourselves to be separate, this experience, this person, this story, this web of life, and also everything else that we are, we can fully land in the fullness of the hologram that we are. There's a certain liberation in that, a certain freedom in that. And the question, what if, can then come into play in a meaningful way when we can both dissolve and re-arise from a new place, when we can dissolve into the infinity. And talking about infinity, if we go down to a quantum level, of course, what we find is empty space. But this empty space itself isn't empty, it's full. It's bubbling with precocity, with pregnancy, pregnant possibility. And yet it's empty of anything that you could meaningfully call form, structure, shape, dimension, or even time, location. And yet here we are, as all of this, the emptiness that isn't empty. And this experience of separateness and fullness and boundary and cups of tea and breakfast and lunch and houses and so on. And one of the beauties, particularly these times when we slide through the time of the new moon, is to be able to open into the liminal space where there is only paradox. And we land with a smile on our face in the immensity of paradox. And we don't even bother to try and find a way to describe it or give it meaning or attributes. Because we recognize that in that cognitive grasping, that we're simply scared. Because the vastness feels so terrifying until we once again remember that we are it. And then we can relax again and let go. So let go this evening. Let go into and as the vastness and into the simplicity of cups of tea and cream scones and motor cars and houses. When I was teaching in Asia decades ago now, there was a little aphorism that rose up in my brain when I was and downloaded itself, uploaded itself, through-loaded itself, does whatever it does into this brain, which went beings. And this came out of the concept of may all beings in all realms find joy. May all beings in all realms find peace. This kind of metta practice they find in the Buddhist diaspora. What came and arose was beings. There are no beings. Only interbeing, being we. There are no beings. Only interbeing, being we. In the background, you can hear a train full of beings going home from work on the North London line. Can we be we? Can we be interbeing and beings at the same time? Feel the breath. Feel the breath moving in and out. And let the breath be your guide just for a while this evening. Your teacher, your friend. And every breath that we take is potentially a consistent reminder of interdependence, of just how seamlessly interwoven everything is, certainly at a systemic level. So given you're touching into some places inside of yourself, inside of this beingness, is beingness, no beingness. And when we land in this place of being, no being, we can really explore desire. Because desire isn't then just a way to get gratified and satisfied, the next hit of a particular neurochemical or a particular substance, whether it's the opiates from cheese, tetrahydrocannabinol, serotonin, dopamine, or whatever. And desire becomes a deeper dance, a holotropic experience. So from going from an experience that just seeks the next hit to being a holotropic compass, desire can shift. And then the desire is a dharmic quality, one that drives us into what is this life about? And when we understand this being, no being paradox at a deeper experiential level, desire is that which guides us. So tonight, I honor desire. Your desire, the desire that arises through you, as you. I honor this. Let the breath be your guide to the intimacy of infinite connection. Consistently present for as long as it is. And the question then arises, for this being, which we're going to use the conventional language to describe, and the conventional language would be yourself. Right? So we're going to use these nounifications to describe this beautiful hologramic process, this verb that you are. And just for the sake of communication, reduce it down for tonight to this simplicity, this terminology that we use, self. So as long as we understand what we mean, we're okay. We can use conventional language. What do you want for yourself? Of course, at a dualistic level, that could be translated in a very simplified way, like a cheese sandwich or a cup of tea. Nothing wrong with that. However, driving a little deeper with the question, what is it that would enable you to rise, fall, dive, collapse, fly, land, explode, implode? Into a deeper experience of continuous living presence, heartfelt, clear-minded, connected, profound presence. Whatever it is, feel it in your guts, in your heart, in your head, in the air around you for a moment, and breathe it in and out and through. Like the compass it is, speaking truth. If we don't listen to this, we create dissonance. Inside, we create dissonance, and that dissonance then comes up as suffering, pain, heartache, disease eventually, which then guides us back into deeper listening. So it's okay. But if we could listen clearly to the quiet voices, what would it be that you can invite, invoke, or give yourself? No self, being, no being. In the recognition that in the hologramic experience that we are, when you do this, it affects everyone around you, because they also then have no choice but to reflect this you that isn't a you, that is who you are, in this endless process, this verb, this hologramic, holotropic dance. And for the next 9 breaths or so, breathe this thus, this suchness, this whatever it is, into your experience, and allow yourself, as if you're fully receiving it, allow yourself to receive. I have no idea what your upbringing was, what kind of world you grew up in, or what you were like as children, or how your parents were with you, what they said and what they didn't say, what was allowed and what wasn't. I have no idea. So I don't know how much you can allow yourself to receive. Right now, with the breath, I invite you to find a way to expand that capacity, What do you have to do to allow even more of this? Ultimately, the answer might be nothing. But to get to the nothing, you might have to do something, like extend the breath, breathe into the back body, breathe into the belly, relax the jaw. Where do you find the something that allows you to do nothing, more of nothing, to fully receive without effort? Where are the places that need to soften just that little bit more? Let go. And allow this newness, this new beginning to come in, into your heart, into your life, into the world. Really using your heart's desire as the compass. The breath as the teacher. Quiet, spacious voice of deep knowing. And this place of deep interdependence is knowing that it's actually all okay. And now, feeling to the closest circle of people who are in that intimate circle, people who you love or love you, in whatever way they do, the best of their ability. People you care about, people, where you've built up that level of proximity, heart proximity, closeness, trust, love, beauty. And as you breathe, let your heart speak. And at bare minimum, send out, emanate love to these beings, no beings. In this dance, this interface of intimacy that you have with them. This mandala of heartfelt connection, however it manifests. People learn so many rules about how to give love, how to receive love, how to be loved, how to be loved. Sometimes people struggle and express it in unusual, complicated ways. This is okay, because we know that deep down inside, these people in the close circle of those we trust, those we know deeply, those we really love, and who really love us, and we have evidence of that. This is okay, it's how it is. And we can send out this mandala of love emanating. Let that relax. And you've already changed. In every action, the verb, this process that you are grows and changes. Really honoring not just the desire, but this transformational feelings like capacity that you are to imbibe complexity and emanate and radiate love. Like the story of Shiva, Nilakant, who drank the poison and held it in his throat, which is why he's called Nilakant, the blue throat. We have this capacity to still open, to begin again, Atta, and now, things being as they are, we can still love. Expand out into the community around you and your hologramic experience with some of the different members of that community, and whether it's just a good morning on the street or whether it's silence or whatever it is, whether it's content-based conversation, informational conversation about how it was last Saturday, or whether it's personal conversation about how your husband is or your wife or somebody else's partner or whatever, or whether it's relational conversation about how we are. And understand that in that hologramic experience, you are the community. And in every moment of interaction, you are co-creating community, just as everybody else is. And one thing we do know from the studies on resonance is the system, like a guitar string or a harp string. When you pluck a string, one string causes the other strings to come into resonance. And we know from when one human being is more deeply resonant, that the others start to come into resonance as well. So you're not just community, you're the heart of community, potentially. And really, honoring this, I honor this in you. Allow the breath to show you, to teach you a deeper sense of heart presence. And it might just be a smile. It might be a deep and profound conversation. It doesn't matter what it is. It's the resonance. Allowing yourself to be this hologramic, holotropic, infinite being that's played itself as countless forms of DNA and still is. Isn't it fun? Isn't it wild? Isn't it crazy? Here we are, a new version of DNA. And on the margins of this community, we might find that people who have, and we haven't yet resolved, maybe the hurt, the jealousy, the greed, the betrayal. When we look into these behaviors at a deeper level, we understand that whether we do it or whether others do it, there has to be some kind of compassion there for the pain, that moves people into that kind of behavior. It's not forgiveness. There's no point in forgiving. That's not helpful. But understanding and finding compassion is powerful. It sustains boundary. And extend out deeper, and if you wish, we could look at all the beings, the dualistic beings, those who believe they are so separate from everything else in the world, that they occupy a place of sociopathic narcissism. And the systems we have on our planet that have enabled people who live from this place to become leaders. Well, not that that's the term I would use for them, but in positions of power and authority, where they can create war, threaten, cajole, control, break people, hurt people. And just for a moment, imagine the hologramic possibility of each and every single individual who's opening into non-dual realization, the intimacy of connection as process, connecting and emanating outwards, holding and supporting the evolution of life and humanity, particularly on this planet. The evolution into kindness, the compassion into care. And I honor you and your role in this. And if this role is simply sitting in meditation, or simply doing 5 minutes of breath work 3 times a day, then so be it. It's a role. And it is deserving of honor. So together, this evening, we can join our hearts, join our minds. We can all breathe together, as if we're creating a whole new world. Because we are. And the compass of your deepest desire guide you into the intricacies of the path, taking one foot in front of the other. It is your life. May the sun rise to greet you. May the rain fall soft. Coming to a coherent breath now, so we're going to actually manipulate the breath a little bit, rather than just letting it be a quiet teacher. Manipulate the breath now, but in doing so, make sure that you stay with that edge of kindness in the breath and how it feels. So there isn't a harshness that you find. And if you go there, because there's so much that we learn about willpower, our willpower is misused. And willpower can be sustainable over decades. Willpower can be patient. And the urgency for immediate transformation can sometimes be a trauma response. So we're finding the balance between the yin and the yang. Right action in the right allowing and letting go. So we find this balance in the yoga philosophies where we talk about, in one case, one side, we have santosha, which is often, I think, quite badly translated as contentment, because it means appreciation. Appreciation for all the arising phenomena of experience in this moment. And at the same time, balancing that with tapas, which is right effort, the appropriate effort at the right leverage point, at the right time, right place, in the right amount, to create the trajectory of shift and evolution, transformation that makes the difference. That's like just touching a lever at the right place. But it's paying attention, sufficient awareness to know when that is, where it is, how it is, in what way. And the Buddhists translate this understanding as upaya. Upaya. Skillful means. To find the skillful means in your breath. Let the breath teach you this edge of the balance between the yin and the yang. When you're ready, very gently, very softly lie down. Wrap yourself in a blanket if you want, particularly if it's colder. It's that time of year. Being, no beings. Just into being we. And knowing the time to act and the time to do nothing. Not that there's ever a nothing, there's only ever everything. Everything everywhere, all at once. We can know when to just let go and allow. And that's right now. Let yourself curl up, cuddle up, be small. From the vastness to the tiny. From the immense to the vulnerable. To the cosmic. The individuated. We can allow ourselves to be just as we are. Tonight we're not going to do any strong breathing practice. We're not going to oxygenate or deoxygenate the brain. We're just going to allow the softness of the breath as it is. Right now, to guide you into a place of letting go. Letting go of complexity, maybe. Letting go of struggle, maybe. Letting go of demand. These things won't go away, but we can let go of them for a period of time. And we can practice creating or receiving the space to just let go. Where there's just nothing to do. Not even control the breath. And in feeling the breath, you can allow the breath to guide you deeper into just letting go. And there comes a point when everything that can be done is done. And it's then about letting go. This is it. Maybe notice the softness in your belly. Put your hands somewhere that feels right and comfortable. Maybe between your legs or in your armpits or on your belly. You have those places where your hands like to be, maybe under your chest or under your chin. We all do it. We all have these places where we curl up like a little cat, resting on its paws. Our tail curled around ourselves. It's that kind of feeling. Already, the squirrels are beginning to look for places to snuggle down for the winter. They're stashing the chestnuts best they can before the children get them. And looking for places where they can curl up in their tail, hibernate. Far off lands, the bears, they used to live here, but don't anymore. They too are looking for the caves, the places to rest. This feeling of hibernation, actually we know that even human beings can do it. Quite rare, but we can. Those old yoga practitioners who could slow their heartbeat rate down almost imperceptibly. People like Krishnamacharya and his teacher. What they were actually doing was putting their body into a state of hibernation. Just feel the heartbeat. Touch it with your mind. Caress it with your mind. Let your heart and your body, everything know that it's okay just to let go. Fully and completely let go. Sometimes we get fluctuations, blood flow in the brain, and little mental spasms of activity. Like an elastic band unwinding. The brain can feel like that, so if it does, it's okay. Sometimes you get little spasms in the legs and the feet when you let go, and that's okay. Sometimes the breath stops. It becomes very short and very brief. It's also okay. It's all okay. There's just nothing to do. In a moment or two, though, we are going to come back up to sitting. In a moment or two. Before we do that, let's remember the beauty of desire and how desire guides you and the desire that leads you in this merry dance of holotropy. Finding the why and the what, and the how and the what if for your existence, for life. Allowing the freedom to explore that hologramic experience of the reflections of the many, many different people and beings, be they trees or birds or whatever that we interact with. And the deep freedom of knowing the intimacy of life with the breath as the teacher, the guide into this interdependence. Every breath we take and the compassion that occurs for those that we see caught, trapped in the illusion of separation, and the pain, the dissonance, the suffering this causes for themselves and for others. And we can relax into the awareness of space and time, infinity, and the immediacy of now. This awareness, this neurology, and the infinity together, always together, inseparable. Emptiness and form, form and emptiness. The inconceivable and the relative. A cup of tea and the cosmos. And the more we can allow ourselves to relax into this, the more we allow ourselves to receive. So in a moment's time, we invite you to take a very slow, conscious breath and feel the cognition. Feel, before we even do this, just feel the flicker of thought. Conscious breath. And feel how the brain activates that, the different parts of the brain, prefrontal cortex going, flicker of thought, the premotor cortex preparing your muscles, the motor cortex starting to switch on the muscles, switch on the diaphragm, the extended intercostals, and the nerves powering up as you take that breath now. It's incredible play of life, consciousness and space together, inseparable. Take a few conscious breaths and really feel the innovation, feel the breath, feel the movement of this. And this incredible play of consciousness as space-time. And start to wiggle your fingers and toes. Remember that wiggling is oxygen-powered, glucose-powered, plant-powered. All of it, always. And slowly come up to sitting, plant-powered as you come from the desire, through the neural innovation, through the muscular activity, to the smile on your face, to the breath breathing in and breathing out. All of it, inseparable connection.